Come on. Alright, I just want to take a minute and talk about this saw over my shoulder before we start the video. I messed around with this for a couple of hours, and I had about an hour's worth of footage. Nobody wants to watch me screw around with something for an hour. So I've cut it down to about 15 minutes. Because of that, there's some information that doesn't get passed along. So I'll tell you the basic story about this. This was on Kijiji for $110. Starts if you prime it. The owner, he put a new carburetor on it. Still couldn't get it to go. He took it into his closest Echo dealer. They put a coil on it. And then they told him it needed a carburetor. And it wasn't worth fixing. But they still charged him $270. And he spent $30 on the aftermarket carburetor. I don't know what happened to the OEM carburetor. I think somebody might have rotted out some of the holes and ruined it. But it has the... I had to put the aftermarket one on. I rebuilt it, put it on, it works fine. But I'm not gonna... At first I thought maybe the shop misdiagnosed it and they replaced the coil for nothing, but given how plugged up the carburetor was, or the muffler was, I think probably the coil did go on it. And stop that, Jasmine. I think it did go, and then it was just putting fuel right into the cat and plugged it up. But being that it was an Echo dealer, that muffler should have been the first thing that they checked. But they didn't. They told him it needed a carburetor and it wasn't worth fixing. So he spent $300 on it and he couldn't get it to go. The dealership told him he couldn't get it to go. I brought it home, and within about an hour I had it running with the muffler off. And then it took me a while to take the muffler apart and pull the cat out of it, put it back together. But I don't know. I'm not going to say what shop working on it, but I wouldn't take anything there, given how easy it was to diagnose. I mean, there was a few different things that were wrong with it, but it was all stuff I found right away. And I think, okay, that's wrong, I fixed it. Move on to the next thing. Oh, this is wrong, I fixed it. And then, like the thing says, you know, it will only start on a prime. Well, it'll start on a prime, then it won't go at all. It's got to be in the muffler. I pulled the muffler off and it started just fine. So, just because your dealer tells you it's not worth fixing, doesn't mean it's not worth fixing. It cost me, I don't know, it didn't cost me anything because I had all the stuff, but even if I had to go buy it, less than $10 worth of stuff to fix that. Now, I pulled the cat out of the muffler. Your dealer's not going to pull a cat out of a muffler for you. They can't. They're not allowed. But if this shop was a certified shop, you know, I was working on these for Echo, I would have a couple mufflers here just painted red, because this is a common issue. And I would pull it off. I'd put another one on that has no cat, prove that is the problem, and then replace the muffler, because they are they're pricey. But that's it. Hope you enjoy the video. They're a good little saw. I'm going to sharpen the chain up and we'll do a test video tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Alright, we got a little bit of a mystery on our hands today. I just bought this saw for $110. It's a cs-310 little Echo. The story on this one is that the owner, he put it wouldn't run. He put a new carburetor on it. It's kind of an eBay special. He gave me the box. I checked. It is for this one. And couldn't get it to run. He took it to the local Echo dealer. They charged him $256 and then told him it wasn't worth fixing. So I actually seen the work order. I'll put a picture of it on the video. It came in for running issues. They said it had a weak spark. They replaced the coil. It still wouldn't run. Said it wasn't worth fixing. The guy took it back. I bought it for $110. It doesn't say that they changed the carburetor, did anything with the carburetor. But the new one was in the box. So let me show you what was in the box. Alright, Walbo carburetor, right? First thing I did, pulled the back off, and lo and behold, that meter and diaphragm is on the wrong side. No, sorry, that's the wrong one. I put it back on already. Meter and diaphragm was right. The fuel pump is on the wrong side of the gasket. So there's one issue. But I was looking at this carburetor and I said, well, that's Walbro. But the casting marks is not right. Like, it's not really that smooth. Also, there's no markings on it to say what type of carburetor it is, so I could check the height of this. So let's go back over to the other saw for a second. So I take a look in here. And oh, look at that. It's a WT. But the aftermarket carbs don't use Walbro's numbering system. So what we have, I don't know if the owner did it and didn't tell me, or if the parts store or the repair shop did it, but they've got the Walbro body with the aftermarket caps on it. So I'm just going to take them both apart. I'm going to rebuild the original carburetor with the parts that are in these and put it back together, and then we'll try and start it. So just hold on. All right, so I'm pretty sure I found the issue. And be honest, the shop that was working on this should have found it too. So take a look at this fuel line. See how it's got a bit of a kink to it? So after I stuck the new carburetor on, or the original carburetor, it wasn't priming. You would push the primer ball in and just keep going. It would build pressure in the tank, but it wouldn't suck anything up through. So what I did is I pulled the lines off and I put them right together, and you push it in and it would just stay in. So it wasn't sucking fuel. I took the fuel filter back off, still wouldn't pull fuel up. I pulled that fuel line out and I put a new fuel line in it, and it's cycling just fine now. Also, I replaced the other side, the other piece of this. So these little black lines, they come with these cheap carburetors. Sometimes you get those, sometimes you get this. This stuff is actually pretty good. So what I ended up doing is replacing two of the fuel lines, the supply and the return. No, the supply and the vacuum on the primer ball, and it sucked fuel through there right away. So I haven't started it or anything, but we're gonna give it a shot here. Remember, I adjusted the carburetor as well. I got them at a turn and a half each. Choke is on. Let's see if it'll refire. Alright, there are the adjustments. Let's go another quarter turn on that low jet. minor success. Alright. We're going to give it a shot. And alright, so there's a prime. Does not start off for prime. Let me dig into it a little bit and we'll come back to this. I think it's just flooded, or that plug is garbage. Alright, so I didn't see any reason why that shouldn't have restarted and why it was flooding so bloody bad. So I took the muffler off. See all the fuel in it. This has got a catalytic converter in it. And I'm not the first one that's had this off because, as you can see, there's holes punched in it. So, I'm going to make a prediction. First one is that I'm going to have sore ears. But this is going to start with no muffler on it. Not very good, but it is running, and that's a start. So, I got to get that muffler apart and get the cat out of it, and then we can tune it from there, because that muffler's toast the way it is. Alright, so I've removed the cat. We'll see how it runs now, see if it's the same. It'll definitely be quieter. I cannot stress how important it is. This next little message. Do not think this is like a car and you can beat that cat out and keep going. That cat is a ½ an inch from your cylinder. If you do that, you'll end up sucking pieces into your cylinder and ruin your engine. So I pulled this all apart. I took the cat out. I washed it out in the parts washer. Blew everything out and put it back together. Alright, let's see. Well, it started. Oh. Another quarter turn on the low. Alright, I'm going to make an assumption. I think someone's had that apart and ruined the carburetor. It should start and run at a turn and a half. I think it's at 2 1/4 now. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to put the aftermarket one back on. Alright, things were getting a bit smoky in the garage, so I had to move outside. Aftermarket carb's on, a little adjustment here or there. Should start and run. Chain is just barely moving. I'm going to have to turn the idle back just a hair. That'll wear out the clutch drum. Seems to be working pretty good. So let's go over what I'll turn that off. So let's go over what we did. We have, we put the aftermarket carburetor back on. I had to spring for a gasket and a fuel pump diaphragm, which I already had left over from other kits. I had to take the muffler off, get the cat out, put it back together, replace the fuel supply and the vacuum line, and put the fuel filter back on because that had fallen off. That's it, really. I mean, I paid $110 for it. It's a lot of money for a solid don't start, but it's new and these are very, very desirable. I knew I'd be able to fix this. I got $10 in gas in it is what I got, and a few leftover parts I had, so good deal.